It's Friday, January 19. In the headlines, government contemplating removing Student Loan Bureau Guarantor requirement. In business news, Statin says inflation rates are up. Regionally, JN1 COVID-19 variant confirmed in Trinidad and Tobago. And in sports, Windies loses first test to Australia. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Effective April 1, 2021, students applying for a student's loan from the Student Loan Bureau required one guarantor instead of two. However, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his administration is considering removing the guarantor requirement for Student Loan Bureau applications completely. The matter came up during his visit to Guys Hill High School in St. Catherine on Thursday. It should be noted that since September 2023, Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH beneficiaries and wards of the states applying to the SLB do not need guarantors to support their submissions. During the wrap session, Mr. Holness also discussed ways in which young Jamaicans can contribute to the nation's productivity.
How can you contribute to the national output?
I can contribute to industrial output by becoming a soldier and protecting the country.
So that's one way of creating value. Value in security. What do you intend to do?
Entering into computer sciences, sir.
You're going to do computer sciences.
Yes, sir.
And that is a field that we need a lot of people in, because that is really the cutting edge. That is the growing industry. Thank you very much.
I want to become a registered nurse.
Yes.
I see that nursing in Jamaica, the nurses, it's kind of short, so I want to contribute by being a productive nurse.
He explained that young adults are a part of the nation's gross domestic product and, by extension, the country's economic growth.
And what you do helps to create the GDP. If we want to grow the GDP, then we have to make sure that everyone who is going to contribute to the GDP produces more. So our national growth is dependent upon what each and every one of you here will do.
Education Minister Favour Williams says the Ministry of Education and Youth is preparing the procurement to enable system-wide installations and coordination of security cameras across the education system. Denita Rodney has the details.
On the matter of school safety and security, Madam Speaker, as you know, the safety and security of our students and staff in schools continue to be a priority. Our survey done in July of last year showed 154 schools with a total of 1,955 CCTV cameras. We're preparing the procurement to enable system-wide installations and coordination of security cameras across the education system.
Was Education Minister Favour Williams. She was speaking to the House of Representatives on Tuesday, January 16. She says 8 additional schools will benefit from a multi-million-dollar grant.
This year, an additional 8 schools have benefited from $15 million in grants to procure CCTV cameras that will improve safety and security at their schools.
The Education Ministry will be ramping up restorative justice practices in schools.
Madam Speaker, we're ramping up restorative justice practice in schools, along with conflict resolution in collaboration with the Ministry of Justice, my colleague minister sitting right here. Approximately 3,600 students across 120 schools will benefit from this training.
Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I'm Denita Rodney.
Medical Officer of Health for the parish of St. Thomas, Dr. Doyen Smith, says the water quality has improved in the parish. Speaking at the recent monthly meeting of the Municipal Council, he explained that the water quality generally toggles between 87 and 92%. He says he remains in constant contact with the National Water Commission to report anomalies.
What we've been doing is doing our early warning systems. Wherever we find that the water quality is poor, we contact them and so they do the corrections. But they really do need to improve upon the quality of water that they're providing on a consistent basis.
Dr. Smith says Golden Grove Meadows remains a challenge.
We're still having an issue with the sewage system there, and the health department will be following up as per usual through the Ministry of Health with the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that the corrective works take place. So we're still waiting to see how it works out.
Plans are being made to build public parks in every parish of Jamaica. That's the word from Prime Minister Andrew Holness. He made the announcement while speaking at the groundbreaking of the latest park, the Portmore Resilience Park, this week.
The park will be for the benefit and use of all citizens of Portmore and visitors. It will be free to enter. We expect the park to be completed in September 2025.
The designated area of construction will also include a transportation hub.
So when we are planning, we think about those things. We don't want people stopping off in the road in order to get to the park or coming from the park, crossing the road to get to transportation. Let's do it orderly. Let's plan for it. Let's manage it. So there will be a transportation hub there.
Mr. Holness says a good social economy is also a result of good fiscal management and productivity. He explained that increased productivity will result in more parks for the public to enjoy.
Because we now have the model to do it. UDC has developed the internal capacity to do it, and we are developing the administrative wherewithal to get it done.
He says plans are also in place to enhance existing parks, such as Hope Gardens. This week is Earthquake Awareness Week, and on January 17, Jamaica observed Earthquake Awareness Day in schools. To catch the action, PBCJ News was at Merle Grove High as they conducted earthquake safety drills.
On Wednesday, January 17, schools across Jamaica, in observing Earthquake Awareness Day, conducted earthquake safety drills. At the Merle Grove High School in Kingston, Ambassador Kiona Pinnock gave us a breakdown of the process.
So what happened was that a sound was sounded, right? That's for the earthquake drill. And what that signifies is that the students should drop cover and hold and wait for instruction from their teachers. When they get that instruction, they should swiftly line up outside and move along to their respective point areas. So there is a point area at the play field at the back, so that indicates that students along the songsters block, they should meet at that point, and there is an assembly point at the front of the school where students closer to that area should line up there. And they usually wait 15 to 20 minutes because aftershocks are prone. And the form teachers, what they do, they check off each student from the classes so that, a head count so that everybody is present.
In 2023, Jamaica experienced approximately 300 earthquakes from January to November, with the most powerful being on November 28, 2023. Kiona shared her experience of that day.
Oh, Lord. So what happened was I was at the drama room, right? And I was doing some work for bio class, and I start hearing the AC hit on the wall, and I was like, what is going on? And then they were like, is that an earthquake? Is that an earthquake? And then all of us, we went outside. I think I didn't have enough knowledge about the earthquake drills then. And then they were like, oh, assembly point on the lawn. So we went to the lawn, and that's where we lined up, and we took our names for the register, and it was really a traumatic experience.
She says this experience has taught her the importance of earthquake drills. Just like Kiona, there are many people who do not know what to do during an earthquake. So here are a few tips to keep in mind. During an earthquake, if you are in a car, pull over and stop. Set your parking brake. If you are in bed, turn face down and cover your head and neck with a pillow. If you are outdoors, stay outdoors away from buildings. If you are inside, stay and do not run outside. Avoid windows and doorways. Do not stand in front of heavy furniture and remember to stay calm. After the earthquake stops, conduct a safety check. Get help if needed. Be prepared for aftershocks and remember to stay connected.
Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, your guide through the latest happenings in the world of business. The Jamaica Stock Exchange suspended trading of iCreate shares. Effective January 18, 2024, the Jamaica Stock Exchange, JSE, wishes to advise the public that in keeping with the provisions of the JSE Junior Market Rule 505, it has taken the decision to immediately suspend trading in iCreate's limited shares due to its failure to comply with the requirements of JSE Junior Market Rule Appendix 4, Admission Agreement, paragraphs 2 and 4. The notice of suspension shall remain in force until iCreate has responded to the satisfaction of the JSE to all matters concerned with its compliance with the JSE Junior Market Rules. One-on-One Educational Services Limited for the first quarter ended November 30, 2023, reported a 33% decrease in revenues from contract with customers totaling $54 million compared to $80 million in the corresponding 3 months last year. Management noted this decline is primarily attributed to a strategic shift towards building recurring revenue through the One Academy revenue lines for the teacher availability solution. The challenges experienced in implementing the technology during the quarter resulted in the generation of revenue earmarked for the quarter. As a result, net loss for the 3 months amounted to $21.52 million relative to net profit of $11.23 million reported in 2022. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, reported that for December 2023, the point-to-point inflation rate was 6.9%, 6.6 percentage points higher than the prior point-to-point inflation rate. However, for the month of December 2023, the inflation rate was 0.5%. The main driver for the monthly increase was a 2.5% rise in the index for the Housing, Water, Electricity, Gas, and Other Fuels division, owing to the higher rent, electricity, water, and sewage rates. Another contributor to the increase was a 0.3% rise in the index for the Food and Non-Alcoholic Beverages division, due mainly to increases in the ready-made food and other food products. Fruits and nuts also increased. The monthly increase was tempered by a 0.4% fall in the index for transport division, owing to lower fuel prices. During trading on January 18, 2024, the top advancing stocks covered the conglomerates, food and distribution sectors on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Jamaica Producers Group Limited shares advanced 10.96% for a jump of $2.46 in price to close at $24.90, with 103,000 shares traded. Consolidated Bakeries Limited, which trades as Purity, shares advanced by 9.95% to grow by 19 cents to close at $2.10 with 688 shares traded. Paramount Trading Jamaica Limited shares advanced by 9.15% to shift upward in price of 13 cents to close at $1.55 with 44,000 shares traded. On the declining stocks that traders experienced on January 18, 2024, the top 3 losers covered the finance and food sectors. Cygnus Credit Investments Limited, US dollars, declined by 9.20% for a fall in price of 1 cent to close at 8 cents with 35,000 shares traded. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited declined by 5.88% to shave off 10 cents to close at $1.60 with 300 shares traded. Express Catering Limited declined by 5.53% for a drop in price of 22 cents to close at $3.76 with 270,000 shares traded. Over on the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, trading activity on the first-tier market registered a volume of 27,000 shares crossing the floor of the exchange, valued at TT $382,000. Massey Holdings was the volume leader with 9,100 shares changing hands for a value of 40,000 TT dollars, followed by National Flour Mills Limited with a volume of 5,643 shares being traded for a value of 11,000 TT dollars. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on the regional stock markets, we turn to the Forex market. On January 18, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $13.8 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $16 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $156.08 and bought US dollars for $154.54. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $1.54, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a trading profit of $6.92 from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $118.84 and bought for $111.92. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $6.54, selling the pound for $199.94 and buying it for $193.40. For our credit report tip of the day, we encourage you to get a free copy of your credit report and read it. Now, what do you do if you find errors on your report? Immediately dispute the inaccuracies to the credit bureau. They have a process to investigate and correct errors. Monitor your credit report. Regularly check your credit report to ensure corrections have been made and to catch any new issues early. Remember, your financial health is in your hands. Empower yourself by mastering the art of reading your credit report. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, on Thursday, the Caribbean Public Health Agency confirmed Trinidad and Tobago's first case of the COVID-19 subvariant JN1. JN1 is a descendant of the Omicron variant. TT2 News has the details.
A release from the Ministry of Health noted that there is no evidence that suggests the subvariant causes more severe illness. However, it may be more easily spread from person to person than its predecessor. The Ministry of Health says they continue to monitor global trends for COVID-19 and other viruses of concern, as an increase was noted worldwide in recent months. This is as a result of increased movement of persons, which usually occurs during the Christmas and Carnival seasons, among other factors. Minister of Health Terence Dialsing recently announced an increase in hospitalizations and deaths related to COVID-19 in the country. For the period December 23, 2023 to January 15, 2024, 5 deaths were recorded, and as of January 18, 2024, 6 deaths were recorded, 4 of which occurred in January 2024. The ministry is encouraging persons to take the necessary precautions to safeguard lives with the practice of good hygiene, with the aim of reducing the spread of viruses, including influenza and COVID-19. Ayana Carter, TTT News.
The Grenada Hotel and Tourism Association says they are anticipating a surge in visitor arrivals for this year's Independence Golden Jubilee celebrations. More from GBN News.
According to Chief Executive Officer of the Grenada Hotel and Tourism Association, GHTA, Arlene Friday, many hotels are already fully booked, reflecting the interest shown in the highly anticipated 50th anniversary of independence celebrations on February 7th. She said everyone, the hotels, tour operators, and dive sectors alike, are in full preparation mode.
I know today GTA just announced the ease of travel to get here, and on many of the properties are busy getting activities together. For instance, there will be our typical oil down competitions, artists who will be performing at properties. We have sailing events that will all tie into the 50th independence. So we are truly geared up and in high gear right now, anticipating visitor arrivals.
Friday said while this time of the year is usually a high season for the GHTA, there has been increased interest from the diaspora this time around.
Typically our properties are booked during this period of time. This is our high season. However, you will now have the competition of many Grenadians wanting to come back home. So many Grenadians have pre-booked from quite a while ago to ensure that they have room availability.
She said the GHTA has been doing what it can to help interested persons secure accommodation for the celebrations.
I've had people contact me, just where can I find a room? This particular property is already booked up. Where else can I go? So hearing that and having it even, which is very unusual for it to come to our office as well, here at the GHTA, that tells me that yes, I believe that there is an increase from last year. At least now there's this there's a bigger buzz. People want to experience what it would be like to be here. And so, I think we can anticipate more of a visitor arrival this year than last year.
The GHTA is anticipating more than 80% occupancy for the independence season. For GB.
Guyana's Vice President Dr. Brat Jagdeo on Thursday projected that Guyanese will save about $100 million each year when electricity rates are cut in half after the Wales Gas-to-Energy project becomes operational. Jagdeo said this single project represents a major movement forward for Guyana.
The government is developing a massive gas-to-energy project at Wales on the west bank of Demerara. When operational, that project will see gas produced offshore in the Sabra block being used to generate electricity on shore. Now that electricity is expected to be about half of the cost that Guyanese currently pay for power provided by the Guyana Power and Light. Now, on Thursday at a press conference, Vice President Dr. Barry Jagdeo said that process will actually save Guyanese about $100 million every year.
When that project is completed, that expenditure does not have to be made again. And then, what does this project represent for the country? It represents 300 megawatts of power, twice as much power as GPL produces now. The people of this country will save over $100 million US dollars per annum. So, because of the cut in electricity prices by 50%. So over a 10 years period, they would save, Guyanese would have to pay $1 billion US dollars less in electricity bill if we extrapolate that.
The Gas to Energy project is just one of the major projects catered for in the 2024 national budget that was presented on Monday by Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh. And at his press conference, the Vice President defended the heavy capital spending, noting that these projects are those that will ensure long-term prosperity for Guyana.
And so I can go down the list of capital projects that we have and how they're going to change people's lives. I will not do so today because they said too much money on infrastructure. Well, it's infrastructure that will impact not just people's lives, but how will that change that bridge, the single bridge and the 4-lane highway, the Schoonard Highway, will change the whole of Region 3.
It isn't that the government only has capital spending reflected in its budget, but Jagdeo says the government has a plan for how it wants to develop the country. Reporting for the newsroom, Vishani Raghaver.
In sports, West Indies lost their match against Australia by 10 wickets on Friday before lunch on the third day of the first test at Adelaide Oval. Australia dismissed the West Indies for 120 in the 13th over of the day. The second and final test between the teams begins January 25 in Brisbane, a day-night match at the Gabba. Final scores in the match: West Indies 188 and 120, Australia 283 and 26. West Indies head coach Andre Coley has heaped praises on debutant Shamar Joseph after his debut 5-wicket haul in the first test against Australia in Adelaide. The Guyanese took 5 for 94 off 20 overs, including opener Steve Smith off his very first ball in Test cricket, and created a stir with his pace, positivity and enthusiasm. Coley reflected on the recent A-team tour to South Africa, where Joseph took the most wickets, said the 24-year-old has a natural ability to work to a plan.
Can you give some thoughts on Shamar Joseph's performance on the blue? How, is this what you expected from him, or is it beyond your expectations? How good was he?
I believe his performance will speak for themselves. You know, I'm sure you'd have enjoyed interviewing him as well. The passion that he has brought, pretty much what you see, what you get. We took him to South Africa earlier. We knew he was inexperienced, but he had pace. You know, he had a natural ability to work to a plan and be consistent, disciplined around it, and he's done that. On the back of that 18 tour, he was fantastic. He got most wickets on that tour, and he's shown what he's capable of in his first test match.
And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching.